I am flabbergasted. People truly believe that Trevor Bauer could theoretically be a solution for this floundering baseball team that is 7.5 games out of first place in the American League West.
Yeah, I don't get it, Paul. I don't get why that as people watch the Astros right now, they think that Trevor Bauer is the problem solver for this team. What problem does Trevor Bauer solve for you? He makes Hunter Brown replace Ryan Presley in the seventh inning, so then Abreu can pitch the eighth and Hader can pitch the ninth. You really want to move Hunter Brown out of the rotation, who in his last 4 starts has gone 6 innings in each of those, has given up 3 earned runs or less in all of them, has struck out 7, 9 in 3 in all those last 4 starts, or Spencer Arrighetti, who was incredible last night for 98 pitches, gave up 1 bad pitch, but has been excellent over his last 4 starts. And one of them he left early. But he's been excellent over his last 5 starts, really. And you want to take one of those guys out of the rotation right now?
The starting pitching hasn't been the problem. When we discussed this yesterday, we said that because it hasn't been the problem. The starting pitching, for the most part, has given you enough, despite all of the injuries. It's, in fact, incredible that they've been able to do that. Spencer Arrighetti and Hunter Brown over the course of the last month have been impressive. Arrighetti was really good last night. You know, we're 1 pitch away from him throwing just under 100 pitches with no runs allowed. Bauer is a starting pitcher. Could he theoretically be a reliever? Sure. But throwing this question out there entirely because Trevor Bauer posted on his Instagram story a picture of him holding a Houston Astros hat and a report that the Astros supposedly watched a bullpen session of him, one that has not been corroborated by real people who cover the Houston Astros. No offense. We're not talking about traditional journalists here. Yes, we live in a different age and day where anyone can report sporting news. But when I put this out there, the question, should the Astros give Trevor Bauer a chance? For the most part, the answer is, what do you have to lose? And I feel like people seem to be missing the fact that, one, bringing him into this clubhouse could result in friction immediately. If he had friction with a Los Angeles Dodgers team that didn't seem too supportive of him when he got suspended for almost 400 games after all those allegations were levied against him, there was no support in a situation where it seems like he has been exonerated, at least in those 2 specific cases. If there was no support there, why would there be support in a clubhouse where he was trying to antagonize the players that he played against here for years and years? Why would there be support here? Why would people welcome him in? But okay, maybe at this point you don't care about that because the Astros are playing so poorly. Who cares about their feelings?
Yeah.
I'm curious as to why there are so many people in support. I'm looking at the comments section, Joe, in this video I posted. We're talking 40 plus comments, and for the most part, it's, you got nothing to lose. He won a Cy Young, league minimum. We need him.
That's the one where I push back the most. Is we need him. Like looking through these, the thing is, Paul, is I do think that in general people deserve second chances. If another team were to sign Trevor Bauer today, I'm not going to crucify them for that decision. That's their franchise's prerogative. They can make that. They can deal with the wrath of those fans. That's their problem. But, people deserve second chances. And someone might feel like Trevor Bauer does. I just don't get why this team would give him a second chance because of what he's said about the Astros. Like the off the field stuff, like it's legalese of was he guilty? Was he not? Did he ask for a payoff? Did he give a payout? Like it's all kind of confusing to be honest.
The specifics of it. So there were 2 people that specifically sued him for sexual assault. Lindsey Hill, the first person who accused him of sexual assault, she was countersued by Bauer for defamation. And ultimately, she did receive money, but lawyers made it clear that she did not receive that money from Trevor Bauer. She received $300,000 in insurance policy proceeds. Bauer admitted to making mistakes, but those mistakes seem to be more about the relationships that he has with women, which I would say some of the details are definitely pretty gross to read, even if we don't know all that happened there. Then there was another situation where Bauer was accused of sexual assault by a woman named Darcy Ezemonu. And Arizona prosecutors actually filed felony charges against her. This is not Lindsey Hill, who has been very public. That was the first person we talked about. This woman has been given an indictment on one count of fraud and one count of theft by extortion. So those are the two off-the-field situations that we know of. There have been others that have been put out there. I'll be honest, it's hard to find all of the details now because with the way that search engines are geared, you just see the stuff that's most recently happened. I don't know if there were things in the minor leagues that happened. I know that the off-the-field stuff is something that the Astros are probably going to be very, very wary about given the sign-stealing thing from a PR perspective. And on top of that, bringing in Roberto Osuna.
And Brandon Taubman as well.
Right. Brandon Taubman, for those who don't know, Brandon Taubman was one of the Astros executives who famously, drunkenly got into it with female Astros reporters in the clubhouse after the Astros advanced to the World Series. And that led to a scandal where Taubman ultimately was ousted from the Astros organization. They're going to be, I think, very hesitant when it comes to bringing in people, whether these allegations are truthful or all of them are false. I think they're going to be hesitant about bringing somebody in like this. But forget all of that. I think the real question I'm asking right now is a guy who is pitching in Mexico, who was pitching in Japan, who actually did have surprisingly good numbers in Japan and in Mexico for whatever they're worth. He has a 1.53 ERA in Mexico this year. In Japan in 2023, he had a 1.73 ERA. In 2023 with two different teams, it was a 2.76 ERA, then a 1.73 ERA. The numbers were good. I remember when he first came to Japan, he was getting shelled at first. As the season went on, I guess he did better. I got to say, Japan, Mexico versus the major leagues, a league that he has not been pitching in since 2021. I am skeptical of his ability to return and have an immediate impact. And I also would just ask, where would you use him? I get that they are lacking starting pitching depth, but is starting pitching depth what's hurting you right now? What's hurting you right now is that your bullpen, which is very expensive, cannot close out games, and your lineup, which is highly powered and very, very good, at least on paper, continuously finds itself night in, night out, getting hits, 9 hits last night, but leaving 8 on base, going 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and scoring just 1 run against a 22-year-old who'd allowed at least 3 earned runs in the 5 starts before. Is Trevor Bauer fixing those two issues? Theoretically, in the bullpen, he could help out, but is Trevor Bauer going to help your offense do better? And is bringing in somebody who probably will be at odds with everybody in the clubhouse going to really make much of an impact? Maybe if another starting pitcher gets hurt, Joe, sure. But I feel like the Astros fans, of which there are many, who are pushing for the acquisition of Trevor Bauer, I think you're thirsty. I think you're a little desperate. And I don't think you're actually looking at it as a real solution. I think you're saying to yourself, screw it. What else can they do? No risk. May as well give them the league minimum. And that's not fixing things this year.
I understand why. It's like, just screw it. Like just bring in another guy. Like maybe like this will fix the Astros' problems. I just don't see it that way logically. I get the theory behind it of bringing him in, going back to a 6-man rotation. Like, who's the biggest issue in your rotation right now? JV? Like, he's not replacing Justin Verlander. Probably
long-term Hunter Brown, but Hunter Brown's pitching better.
Yeah. Well, like, moving Hunter Brown to the bullpen could solve some of your problems. I don't think that, when we talk about how you have an off day, a complete game on Thursday and Friday, your bullpen's gassed by Monday, moving Hunter Brown, or I guess Arrighetti, into a bullpen role at this moment in time to have them come in and give you 2-3 innings will help a very struggling bullpen, and Trevor Bauer, in theory, fits into the rotation to replace that guy. I'm not sure he really fixes those problems. Like,
he doesn't.
If people really believed in Trevor Bauer, the person or the numbers that he's had in Japan and Mexico, like there would be one of 30 teams that would have signed this guy. You know, there was always those conspiracy theories in sports that there's some kind of league mandate put down of, look, he's available, but do not go sign this guy. I don't think that's one of these situations. There's a reason why no one wants him. And I wouldn't want him here because it's not about the off the field stuff. It's what he said about the team. It's what he said about the players on this team. And to me, it is a slap in the face to the organization, to its players who have won championships for you, past or present, people that were here in 2017, that they don't, it's disrespectful. And I get the pushback of like Junior Bronco here says, can't afford to piss off Bregman and McCullers. Look, I get it. McCullers isn't playing. Bregman's not good. Neither of those guys should have any opinion on the roster. But then how about Altuve? Does Altuve care? Then that's the answer. If Altuve has an issue with it, it can't happen. If Altuve is the leader of this team, he has been, he will be for the foreseeable future.
And say they don't have an issue with him. How long until Trevor Bauer creates an issue on his own? And who are you expecting to use the fire extinguisher and, I guess, remedy any confrontation? Joe Espada? There's no Michael Brantley here. There's no Hector Neris here. There is no Martin Maldonado here. Those were three of your most vocal leaders last year based off of everybody who covered the team. Is Alex Bregman stopping that? Where we're not 100% sure how checked in Alex Bregman is. I think it's fair to ask about his long-term, I guess, vision for this team. Mm-hmm. If they bring in someone like Trevor Bauer, is that going to potentially make him think to himself, you know what, if they're bringing in this guy, what's the point of even getting involved in negotiations this offseason? I think that there are a lot of possible consequences that could come as a result of bringing in Trevor Bauer. This idea that you bring him in and it's risk-free just because you don't have to pay him that much money, I think you're missing the bigger point. He is who he is. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's a victim of cancel culture. No, he's a victim of being extremely unlikable, which is a problem that he created for himself. Mm-hmm. Forget these allegations against him. Was Trevor Bauer not considered by many someone who would regularly get in arguments with like kids online? Is this the kind of person that anyone's going to go out of their way to defend? Maybe in the wake of pushback against false allegations involving Me Too, maybe some of those people will take his side. That's it. Those are the only people that are going to stand up for Trevor Bauer.
Because it goes back to what he was before. Like, just think about what he was when he was a Cleveland Indian, okay? He got taken out of a baseball game, and he chucked the baseball into center field, throwing a tantrum. He nearly missed the World Series in 2016, and he missed the ALCS.
He's playing with a drone.
Because he cut his finger on a drone. Like, he's just a disliked person. It's okay. It's okay that there are people who are just disliked in the world, and that you don't want them on their team. Like, that's what's happening here. It's not. Like, the Twitch here, they're very supportive of the idea of Bauer, just like all the comments on your YouTube. He just doesn't solve any problems for me. It's not what the Astros need to fix. Adding a starting pitcher at this moment, let's remove the name Trevor Bauer for a second. Adding a starting pitcher to the Astros does not make Ryan Presley good. It does not make Rafael Montero good. It does not fix your issues at first base. It does not fix your issues in left field when Chas McCormick is out there. It does not fix your issues when Jeremy Pena is playing lackadaisical and not good defense. It does not fix your issues when Yainer Diaz and Kyle Tucker are hurt because they can't stop hitting foul balls off themselves. Like, it just doesn't solve your problems. It really just, it doesn't. It adds an arm. That's really all it does. It's just not the number one problem the Astros have. It solves nothing.
832. It's incredibly hypocritical of Astros fans to want Bauer. It's incredibly desperate. You want to add a picture that the Astros fans have verbally crucified while he was on the Indians and Dodgers. Soft-ass fans. Another texter from the 409. Why assume he will be a problem? Maybe he comes in and keeps his head down and mouth and shuts and deals and doesn't cause any problems.
For the first time in his life.
Yeah.
Oh, is that wasn't the last 3 words of the text? For the first time in his life.
Exactly.
He does all those things.
Yeah, maybe that despot in Germany will, after you give him this country and this country and this country, he'll stop asking for countries and territories. Maybe.
I think what Joe, you brought up is a good point. They don't need really, like, their more pressing need isn't starting pitching. It's relief pitching. So, I mean, in my mind, I don't see why they don't go out and get Joe Kelly. That'll fix things, right?
Honestly, that would make more sense.
It does make more sense
Because
why
it's a
are we
reliever.
talking about the other guy then?
It's bizarre.